Hello everyone, my name is Corey with Good Evening Tech, and we are going to go over a short and simple tutorial over JavaScript. So what you see on my screen here, so I have a little HTML document that I made up. I figure that if you're watching this, you're a little bit comfortable with HTML, but it's not a requirement. And I'm using an extension with Visual Studio Code called Live Server. On the right over here, this is the document that we're going to be editing with. All right, so to get started, I'm just going to show you the fastest way that you can get content on the screen with JavaScript. So if you're writing JavaScript inside an HTML document, you get to do it inside what's called a script tag. It works like any other HTML tag. It's got an opening and a closing one. So the fastest way we can get information on there is document write. Let's put this in heading tags so it's a little bit bigger. And I just hit save. Oh, helps when you close out the tag. There we go. As you can see, this was generated by JavaScript. So like I said, when you're using an HTML document, you have to put it inside of script tags. But we're going to go through, and the next example is we're going to interface with this button right here. So what we're going to do is I'm going to drop back into a script tags, and we're going to create what's called a function. So a function is a little snippet of code that you can use in different places, and it doesn't execute right away. So when you do something that's called declare function, it's like naming it. What you do is you type out something as function, and then we're going to call this hello there. You put parentheses right after it, and then you use curly braces. So these are in the upper right hand corner of your keyboard if you're using a QWERTY keyboard. What we're going to do down here is we're going to use something that's called an alert. Alright, so what an alert is it's a built-in function that JavaScript offers, which shows a little pop-up. Now, how do we connect this to this? So HTML has a built-in way called an onClick. So on this onClick, I'm going to put the function's name with the parentheses. The parentheses let click know to execute it. What execute means is just to shoot it off, fire off the function. So I'm going to go over here in my document. You see nothing happen, but when I click this, this is what the alert looks like, at least on Safari. All the browsers, it looks a little bit different, but they function in the same way. All right, now the next example down and what JavaScript's used for a lot. So all these elements inside of here, if you're familiar with the DOM, which is the document object model, it's how everything is built inside a little website. So as you can see with this div right here, it's got an ID on it, and we're going to use that ID to select this element and modify what's inside of it. What we're going to do, I'm going to go back into script tags, and I am going to declare a constant. A constant is a variable that doesn't change. When I declare this, it's never going to change. This is what it's going to be. And yeah, we're going to call this main div, just like how it's named in the ID there. And I'm going to call in the document get element by ID, and then I'm just going to put that ID in there. So now this main div inside JavaScript is this div. I can name this whatever I want. It doesn't have to be this name, but I just like it to be that way. What I'm going to do down here is I'm going to declare another variable using let. So when you declare something with let, it can change. But this will not change, but I just wanted to show you. We're going to put it to the old HTML. So I named it old text. What inner HTML is it's everything inside these two curly braces. What I'm going to do is drop down, and we're going to add something called an event listener. So an event listener is how JavaScript interacts off of different events happening in the program. So roll with me here. I'm going to grab that main div. I'm going to add an event listener. Now the first thing that shows up here, that's an event argument. What an event argument is just instructions that you're sending to this function. So the first one is going to be a mouse over. So that means whenever the mouse hovers over this. Now the second argument, as you can see in the little text up here, is the listener. So what do you want it to do? So what we do here is declare an anonymous function. What that means is this function will be declared here. It doesn't have a name, and it'll just be thrown away. But I am going to grab that main div again. Now I'm going to grab that inner HTML and say it changed. And then what we're going to do to change it back, so I'm going to call another function that's built into JavaScript called setTimeout. So the first thing that we're going to pass to it is another anonymous function. And in here, all I'm going to do is change that main inner HTML back to what it was before. And then the second argument is how long you want it to wait. So I'm going to add my semicolons here. Semicolons they're not required in JavaScript, but it's a good thing to have with them. Now, the second argument is in milliseconds, so 2000 milliseconds is 2 seconds. But what I'm going to do right here is I'm going to save this, and then we go over here, and when I hover over it, it's going to change, and when I go away from it, it'll change back in about 2 seconds. So just a little bit of cool stuff to do with JavaScript right there, and helps you start out. But subscribe, and I'm going to go over a little bit more tutorials later on, and thank you for watching.